High-value men never waste their energy on habits that quietly destroy their confidence and self-respect. While most people spend their lives seeking approval, reacting to every situation, and trying to please everyone, truly confident men do the opposite. They know that real strength isn't about proving your worth, it's about protecting it. In this video, you'll discover 6 things high-value men never do, and why avoiding these mistakes can completely change the way people see you and, more importantly, the way you see yourself. Before we start, comment, "I choose respect." Number 1. They never beg for attention. A high-value man never builds his confidence around someone else's attention because he understands that the moment his happiness depends on another person's messages, approval, or interest, he has handed over control of his peace of mind. Many men wake up thinking about whether someone replied, whether someone noticed them, or whether they did enough to keep another person's interest alive, and little by little that habit drains their confidence without them realizing it. Every unanswered message becomes a source of anxiety. Every delayed reply creates endless questions, and every small change in someone's behavior begins to control their emotions. This is not strength. This is dependence dressed up as affection. A high-value man refuses to live this way because he knows his attention is one of his greatest assets. He gives it with purpose instead of desperation. When someone values his presence, he appreciates it. When someone repeatedly gives little effort, he notices without making excuses. He does not argue for attention or compete for a place in someone's life. He continues building his own. That does not mean he becomes cold or uncaring. It means he understands that genuine interest never has to be forced. People who truly value you make room for you. They communicate. They make an effort. They do not leave you constantly wondering where you stand. Instead of spending hours analyzing another person's behavior, he invests those hours improving his health, learning valuable skills, strengthening his finances, deepening friendships, and becoming someone he respects when nobody is watching. That change transforms everything, because confidence is no longer borrowed from another person's opinion. It comes from daily actions that prove to himself that he is reliable, disciplined, and capable. The more he respects his own time, the more others naturally respect it too. Attention stops becoming something he chases because his life becomes too meaningful to waste on uncertainty. He understands that protecting his peace is not selfish. It is necessary. The world constantly tries to pull his focus in different directions, but he chooses where his mind goes. That single decision changes the way he walks, speaks, thinks, and responds to every challenge. Instead of asking why someone is not giving him enough attention, he asks whether that connection deserves his attention in the first place. And that simple question puts him back in control of his own life. Number 2. They never explain too much. A high-value man does not spend his life trying to convince everyone that he is a good person, because he understands that people form opinions through consistent actions, not endless explanations. Many men become trapped in a cycle of defending every decision, apologizing for things that need no apology, and trying to clear up every misunderstanding as though everyone must approve of them before they can move forward. That habit quietly destroys confidence because it teaches the mind that acceptance from others is more important than trust in yourself. Strong character works differently. It speaks through calm decisions, steady behavior, and clear boundaries. When someone misunderstands him, he does not panic. When someone unfairly judges him, he does not waste days trying to rewrite their opinion. He accepts that not everyone will understand his choices, and he keeps moving in the direction that matches his values. This mindset removes a huge weight from his shoulders because he no longer lives as a performer trying to satisfy every audience. He lives according to principles that remain steady, whether people praise him or criticize him. That does not mean ignoring useful feedback. Wise men listen carefully, learn from mistakes, and improve where improvement is needed. The difference is that they do not allow criticism alone to define who they are. They separate useful advice from empty opinions. They know that many people speak from emotion, personal bias, or limited understanding, and trying to satisfy every voice leads nowhere. Instead of filling every silence with explanations, they become comfortable allowing their actions to tell the story over time. They stay calm when conversations become emotional. They choose words carefully instead of speaking from frustration. They understand that self-control is often more convincing than any argument. This habit strengthens every part of life because it builds quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by changing opinions. The more secure a man becomes within himself, the less he needs constant reassurance from others. He stops measuring his value by applause and starts measuring it by discipline, integrity, and consistency. That inner stability becomes visible in the way he carries himself, handles setbacks, and treats people with respect without abandoning his own standards. Over time, others begin to notice that he is not easily pressured, not easily distracted, and not easily manipulated, because his confidence comes from knowing exactly who he is, rather than from convincing everyone else to agree. Number 3. They never fear being alone. A high-value man understands that being alone is not a punishment, but an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. Many men stay in situations that drain them because silence makes them uncomfortable, and they believe that any attention is better than none. That belief quietly steals confidence because it teaches them to tolerate behavior that does not match their standards simply to avoid being by themselves. A high-value man refuses to make decisions from fear. If a relationship brings constant confusion, disrespect, or emotional exhaustion, he does not cling to it simply because he fears starting over. He accepts that temporary loneliness is far less damaging than remaining somewhere he is not valued. He fills his days with meaningful work, physical training, learning, building friendships, and pursuing goals that make him proud of the man he is becoming. Every hour invested in himself becomes another brick in a foundation that nobody else can shake. When he enjoys his own company, he becomes impossible to pressure into accepting less than he deserves. He no longer rushes into relationships simply because someone gives him attention. He takes his time, observes actions instead of promises, and allows trust to grow naturally. This patience protects him from making emotional decisions that lead to regret. He understands that a peaceful life is built one disciplined choice at a time. Instead of asking who will stay with him forever, he asks whether he is becoming the kind of man who can face life's challenges with confidence and integrity. That question changes everything because it shifts his focus from seeking validation to creating value. As his confidence grows, his standards rise with it. He no longer measures success by who chooses him, but by the quality of the life he is building. Ironically, this quiet independence often makes him more attractive because he is no longer trying to impress anyone. He speaks honestly, walks away when necessary, and remains calm even when circumstances change. His identity is built on character rather than attention, and that gives him a level of peace that cannot be bought or borrowed. The strongest position any man can reach is knowing that he can enjoy a relationship without depending on one to define his worth. Because when your purpose becomes greater than your fear of being alone, your decisions become clearer, your confidence becomes genuine, and your future begins to move in the direction you choose instead of the direction your fears dictate. And if you're serious about becoming that man, The Stoic relationship blueprint is the next step. It is packed with timeless principles that help you build unshakable confidence, emotional discipline, and self-respect in every relationship. And it's now available as an audiobook so you can listen while driving, jogging, exercising, or during your daily routine. Once you own it, it's yours forever, giving you lifetime access to wisdom you can return to whenever life tests you. And you'll also find the Stoic Relationship Blueprint course for men, launching in the coming weeks. So if you want early access, simply comment Blueprint below, and you'll find the book linked in the comments. Number 4. They never ignore red flags. A high-value man pays close attention to patterns because he knows that actions reveal character far more clearly than words ever can. Many men convince themselves that obvious problems will disappear if they are patient enough, loving enough, or understanding enough, but time rarely changes behavior that someone has no desire to change. They explain away repeated disappointment, overlook broken promises, and continue investing in situations that repeatedly leave them confused because they hope tomorrow will somehow be different. A high-value man refuses to build his future on hope alone. He listens carefully, watches consistently, and allows repeated actions to shape his decisions. If she only values him when it is convenient, if she repeatedly shows little respect for his time, if she constantly expects understanding while offering very little in return, he notices instead of making endless excuses. That does not mean becoming bitter or assuming the worst about everyone. It means accepting reality instead of creating comforting stories that keep him trapped. Strong boundaries are not about controlling another person. They are about deciding what behavior he is willing to accept in his own life. He understands that respect cannot be negotiated through endless conversations if the other person's actions continue to send the opposite message. Instead of trying to force someone to change, he changes his own response. He steps back, protects his peace, and directs his energy toward people whose actions consistently match their words. This approach saves him from years of unnecessary frustration because he understands that character is revealed through consistency, especially when life becomes difficult. He does not confuse charm with integrity or excitement with compatibility. He values honesty, accountability, kindness, and reliability because those qualities create lasting trust. Every difficult experience becomes a lesson rather than a reason to lose hope. Instead of asking why someone treated him poorly, he asks what he can learn from the situation and how he can make wiser decisions in the future. That mindset transforms setbacks into growth and disappointment into wisdom. Over time, he becomes better at recognizing healthy relationships, better at protecting his standards, and better at choosing people who genuinely add value to his life. This is not about becoming suspicious of everyone. It is about respecting yourself enough to stop ignoring clear signs that a situation is moving away from the life you want to build. The moment you stop making excuses for repeated poor behavior is the moment you begin creating space for relationships built on mutual respect, honesty, and genuine effort. Number 5. They never lose emotional control. A high-value man understands that his greatest strength is not physical power, money, or status, but the ability to remain steady when life becomes difficult. Anyone can stay calm when everything is going well, but true character is revealed when plans fall apart, when someone disappoints you, when expectations are not met, or when emotions tempt you to react before thinking. Many men allow a single message, a harsh comment, or someone's changing behavior to determine their mood for the entire day. They replay conversations in their heads, searching for hidden meanings, wondering what they could have said differently, and slowly giving another person control over their peace of mind. A high-value man refuses to surrender that control. He understands that his emotions are real, but they are not instructions that must be followed immediately. He gives himself time before responding, because time often removes confusion and exposes the best decision. When someone speaks with anger, he does not automatically answer with anger. When someone tries to provoke him, he does not reward that behavior by losing his composure. Remaining calm is not weakness. It is evidence that he governs himself instead of allowing circumstances to govern him. This mindset changes every area of his life because he begins making decisions from reason rather than impulse. If a relationship starts creating constant uncertainty, he pays attention instead of arguing endlessly. If someone repeatedly shows little respect for his time or his boundaries, he notices the pattern and adjusts his actions instead of hoping that another conversation will magically solve everything. He accepts that he cannot control another person's choices, but he has complete control over his own standards, his own responses, and the direction of his own life. That realization removes an enormous burden because he stops trying to manage other people's behavior and starts mastering his own. He also understands that silence is often stronger than unnecessary arguments. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every insult deserves a defense. Not every disagreement deserves hours of emotional energy. Some situations become smaller the moment you stop feeding them with your attention. This is why he carefully protects where his focus goes each day. He invests his energy in work that improves his future, habits that strengthen his body, knowledge that sharpens his mind, friendships built on mutual respect, and goals that give his life direction. The more purpose he creates, the less room remains for emotional chaos. He also accepts responsibility for his mistakes without allowing them to define him. Instead of making excuses, he asks himself, what lesson can be learned? What habit needs to change? And what action will produce a better outcome next time? That simple habit creates continuous growth because every setback becomes a teacher instead of a permanent label. Over time, people begin noticing something different about him. He no longer seeks to prove himself in every conversation. He no longer competes for approval. He no longer reacts to every challenge placed in front of him. His confidence becomes quiet, steady, and dependable because it is built on discipline rather than emotion. Even when circumstances become difficult, he keeps moving forward one decision at a time. He understands that life rewards consistency far more than intensity, and every calm response strengthens the man he is becoming. Eventually, emotional control becomes part of his identity rather than something he forces himself to practice. He walks into every situation knowing that while he cannot decide how others behave, he always decides who he will be, and that choice gives him a level of confidence, peace, and resilience that no outside opinion can take away. Number 6. They never forget their purpose. A high-value man never allows another person to become the center of his life because he understands that the strongest relationships are built when two complete people walk beside each other, not when one person abandons his own direction to hold on to someone else. Many men slowly drift away from their dreams without even noticing it. Their goals become delayed, their routines disappear, their discipline fades, and their attention becomes consumed by someone else's opinions, moods, and decisions. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and suddenly they realize they have invested more energy into trying to maintain someone else's interest than into building the future they once promised themselves. A high-value man refuses to let that happen because he knows that purpose gives every decision meaning. He wakes up with a reason to move forward that does not depend on praise, attention, or constant reassurance from anyone. His work matters, his health matters, his family matters, his integrity matters, his growth matters. Those priorities remain steady regardless of who enters or leaves his life. That does not mean he ignores relationships or refuses to care about others. It means he never sacrifices the foundation of his own life in order to gain temporary approval. When someone genuinely supports his mission, he appreciates that support. When someone repeatedly distracts him from becoming the man he wants to be, he notices the pattern and protects his direction instead of abandoning it. He understands that time is the one resource that can never be recovered, so he spends it carefully. Every workout, every book, every difficult conversation handled with maturity, every promise kept to himself becomes another investment in the man he is becoming. Progress may be slow, but consistency always wins over intensity that disappears after a few days. This mindset also changes the way he handles disappointment. He no longer believes that one setback defines his future, because his identity is connected to his purpose rather than a single outcome. If one opportunity closes, he builds another. If one plan fails, he adjusts without giving up. If someone chooses a different path, he accepts reality instead of allowing bitterness to consume him. He cannot control every event that happens around him, but he always controls the standards he lives by each day. That quiet discipline becomes his greatest advantage because it keeps him moving forward while others remain trapped in regret, comparison, or endless overthinking. As the years pass, he notices something remarkable. The confidence he once searched for begins to grow naturally because every day provides proof that he can rely on himself. He trusts his decisions because they are built on values instead of impulse. He respects himself because he keeps the promises he makes when nobody is watching. He earns the respect of others not by demanding it, but by living with consistency, honesty, and purpose. His life becomes larger than temporary distractions because he has something meaningful to wake up for every morning. That purpose influences every area of his life. It shapes the friends he keeps, the habits he develops, the opportunities he accepts, and the boundaries he refuses to compromise. Instead of asking whether someone will complete his life, he asks whether his daily actions are bringing him closer to the man he wants to become. That single question transforms everything because it shifts his focus away from what he cannot control and places it firmly on what he can improve today. The world will always contain uncertainty, changing circumstances, and difficult moments, but a man with purpose remains steady because his direction comes from within. He understands that real success is not measured by how many people approve of him, but by whether he is becoming stronger in character, wiser in judgment, calmer under pressure, and more useful to the people who genuinely deserve his time. When he lives this way, confidence is no longer something he tries to display. It becomes part of who he is. His presence becomes steady, his decisions become clearer, and his future becomes something he actively creates instead of something he passively waits to receive. That is why high-value men never forget their purpose, because purpose keeps them grounded when emotions are high, focused when distractions appear, disciplined when motivation disappears, and grateful for every opportunity to become a better version of themselves. In the end, the greatest achievement is not proving your worth to someone else. It is building a life that reflects your values so completely that no temporary disappointment has the power to pull you away from the path you have chosen. Your future is shaped by the standards you choose today, and while the world is full of voices encouraging distraction and constant validation, very few encourage the discipline, self-respect, and emotional strength that truly change a man's life. So if you're ready to take that step, comment "Blueprint," like this video, and subscribe to help more men discover these timeless truths before they lose years to the wrong lessons. Then grab the Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men, linked in the comments, now also available as an audiobook, so you can listen while driving, jogging, exercising, or during your daily routine. Knowing this life-changing knowledge is yours forever whenever you need it. I'm also putting the finishing touches on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint course for men, built from over 2,000 years of timeless principles that have stood the test of time and are designed to help you apply them to your life and relationships, and it launches in just a few weeks,